Greetings, friend. Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be more reflective, more talking about what I would say to my younger self or something that I wish I knew when I was younger, kind of going back, and I'll just be coloring in these trees. I have the perfect page in my sketchbook. I did these trees, a little doodle of these trees at the pool the other day. We had a pool day with the family. My brother and his kids were there and my parents were there. And I doodled these flowers, or flowers, what are they called? I doodled these trees and I wrote the Dr. Seuss, "Oh, the Places You'll Go." And I feel like it's just the perfect page for me to be coloring in while we discuss things that I would tell or that I would say to my younger self. And I think I'm gonna do watercolor and colored pencil. And if you're wondering, I'm coloring it in after I've drawn the ink too, which is not something I normally do. I normally do the ink later, so we're just gonna go with it and see what happens. And you know what? That would be one of the things that I say to my younger self would be to just go with it and see what happens. I feel like I did a pretty good job of, being brave in my 20s, going after and starting a business and having the confidence to do that. But I think one of the main lessons or things that I would go back and say to my younger self would be to learn how to let go of control, release control. And in every phase or every version of my younger self, whether it's my yesterday younger self or a year ago younger self or 15 years ago me, I feel like that's one of the biggest lessons that I have been put on this planet to learn is the art of letting go and not having to be in control of everything all the time. I don't know whether it's, different parts of my upbringing or if it's just the response that women have growing up or being raised and growing up and starting careers in a world that's very masculine dominant, very much like output focused and productivity focused and performance based and, having all of these different external metrics for success, like the amount of money you make or the house that you have and the car that you buy and all of these things that don't actually matter when you look at them from a zoomed out lens. That's something that at least in my 20s, I didn't realize how trivial the things that I was going after or that I thought made me successful when I started my business at 23. I just kind of, I bought into the girl boss thing. I was reading Gary Vaynerchuk books like it was a hobby. It was obsessive. Hustle culture was like pumped through my veins and I almost wore it like a badge of honor. Honestly, like the amount of hours I put in and the amount of effort that I put in to build this business. And it was almost like this bragging right that I had that look how hard I work and look at how that to me just felt like I was being successful or that I was being whatever I was being. And I didn't even realize I was being, it just felt authentic to me at the time based off of these old beliefs that I had of in order to be of worth or valuable, I need to have a successful career, be a successful businesswoman. I can't possibly fail this thing. We've got to do it. And putting on all these hours is this is what you do. This is what girl bosses do. And at the expense of your nervous system, your health, time with your family, time with yourself. It's not worth it. And I'm so glad that I'm starting to learn that now in my mid-30s. And that's something that if I could go back, I don't live with any regrets. I live with lessons and stepping stones. I don't live with this looming guilt or I failed myself or I failed other people. Everything is here to teach me. And I know that if I hadn't worked that hard in my 20s, I wouldn't have this perspective that I do on taking things slow and being more present with everything else in my life, like my son, my whatever is first at hand in the moment. If I'm with a friend or if I'm with my business and making sure to take all the time and care that I can into filming these videos, being fully present, not splitting myself in all these different directions like I did in my 20s and being pulled apart by obligations and things in my calendar and things I'm supposed to do or should be doing. but instead like really allowing myself to go deep and focus on whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment, like doing the dishes or talking to Rachel or filming a YouTube video. And so I feel like I'm starting to really lean into that hard in my mid-30s. I don't know if that's just like the time of life or, you know, motherhood or probably a combo of things, but I don't look back on my 20s and think like, oh, I have all this regret over how I spent my time and how hard I worked. It definitely brought me to a lot of burnout and major breaking points with my health. I've written about this on my Substack before. I have 2 essays from a recovering workaholic, part 1 and 2, where I talk about all this stuff in more detail. But basically, you know, it caused me a lot of health issues. I was working 12 to 15 hours a day when I was starting my business for the first several years of my business, because that's just the life of an entrepreneur and someone who's trying to like honestly survive, because every dime was going back into my business. I had to keep working really hard, and, you know, I couldn't hire anyone, and you're figuring it out. You're making mistakes, you're figuring it out. And so I'm grateful for that time because it's given me this perspective that's like, the pendulum has now swung the opposite direction. And so I'm able to pour in more time and presence into my business, into my relationships, and into myself. And maybe I wouldn't have that perspective if I just like casually worked, you know, 6 to normal amounts of hours, and I didn't have this like full blown, something needs to change breakdown type thing. So that would be what I would say to my younger self, especially in the 20s, is just like to slow down, listen to your body more, especially in regards to the health stuff. And it's time to rearrange some priorities, time to really reassess, like, you know, success at the expense of what? Your health, your time, your peace, your happiness, spending time with the people that you love, and just learning to let go of being in control of everything and everything needing to work out or play out exactly how you need it or think you should have it. And relate. So like that's a lot. That's a big one for me. I've always struggled with being in control. I was a goalkeeper in soccer for like 14 years, and that position is naturally just very bossy. And you're in control of the whole field, your team. You can see a lot of things that the players on the field can't see because they're out there with the ball, but I can see like who's open over there or whatever. Who knew we would go down the soccer strategy rabbit hole? But anyways, I've just like, that's always been a natural part of my temperament, is just like leadership and telling people what to do and bossing people around, and being in control. Like I was really good at that position because I liked to control if there was going to be goals or not. And I was pretty good at it. And anyway, that has always just like been a huge part of my biggest lessons in life. And I would say in relationships too, it ekes in there as well. But the biggest thing with my relationships is finding your voice, becoming more and more self-aware so that you know what your voice even sounds like against other voices that you've grown up hearing and that you've formed the majority of the way you think. Your thought patterns come from the beliefs that you hold, and those beliefs were taught to you by mentors, by parents, by outside influence. And, you know, as a child, you cling on to those things and you keep repeating them, and that's where all your behaviors and your thoughts come from, are these, you know, subconscious and conscious beliefs that you don't even know you hold anymore or where they're coming from. Like the whole productivity thing, and how success to me in my 20s was about like how hard I worked, and that to me felt like I was doing something good. If I worked really hard that day, then I felt like it was a good day. But that doesn't mean that the best work was always done. And so same thing with my relationships, just kind of like wishing in my 20s I understood where, you know, confidence comes from, where building and trusting your voice comes from in communication, and not just like feeling confident enough to speak up and speak your truth or your feelings or whatever, but also just like my likes and dislikes. Like, I don't need to say I like that color for the walls just because I know John likes it and I don't want to let him down. I can say what I like. Rachel's in the back like, preach. Within reason and like normal discussion, of course. But, you know, just like, why am I so agreeable? That's not me. In my 20s, I feel like I was like, so just don't want to ruffle, don't want to disappoint people over like really meaningless things, and sometimes definitely meaningful things. But just like, that's not a life if you're living, you know, in the shadows of somebody else's opinions and decisions. That's not a life.
How does that play out in motherhood too?
Oh yeah, for sure. Motherhood. I mean, mothers, maybe, I don't know, I just feel this, but mothers really do have just natural instincts and connection to their offspring. Probably, you know, energetically. Science could back this up somehow, but we're not going to pull up no studies right now, and we're not a scientist, but I'm just saying it's probably out there, and you guys are smarter than me, so go find it. But the connection between mother and offspring is definitely very strong, and I did feel like, and John's obviously my husband, he's a really, really good dad, like an excellent dad, but there's just things that a mom knows, you know, and I would always hesitate in speaking up about like, ooh, I think he's maybe having a skin reaction to that food that I gave him because I noticed a slight difference. And I don't know, I'm just like looking at that stuff more, and I needed to speak up more. There was also a lot of like that productivity and that work hard and like, I can do it mentality that came in when I became a mom too, because it's not like you just like can leave it somewhere else tucked away. So I, you know, didn't ask for help much. I was like always like, I mean, I didn't really even allow myself to take a maternity leave. I was laying on the couch right after giving birth that week, finalizing the details of my biggest licensing launch ever for Staples calendars and planners and all these things. That deadline was 2 weeks after I gave birth, and I was stitched up still, laying on the couch because I couldn't sit down, and just like painting, which is an enjoyable thing, but it was still work. Painting, answering emails, taking meetings. And I just like, I really wish I would have let myself just chill, you know, just freaking chill. Okay. There's a newborn, you're a new person now, and your body's new. There's so many things that are new. Like, you're not going back. No receipts. So like, you know, and also I kind of knew at the time that we would only have one kid. So I wish I would have like slowed down with those first few months, especially that first year of motherhood, and like allowed myself to rest and slow down and like be more present in there for myself and for my son. Because if my cup ain't full, there's no way I can pour up any amount of liquid in anybody else's cup. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it kind of ties in every area of life of what I would go back to and say to my younger self is just to slow down more and like treat yourself with some respect, you know? Like the amount of hours that I thought I needed to work, and I would sit until the absolute last second where like I was gonna pee my pants. Like I would just bulldoze and not take bathroom breaks, not like get up and go for a walk or like take a breather. I would just like sit and bulldoze through my day for hours. Like, treat your body. This is your vessel, man. This is how your soul gets to experience this place. And you're dying to come down here probably, you know, before you come, your soul's like, that sounds like fun. I want to do that. I want to taste yummy foods, and I want to touch fun texture-y things, and I want to experience love. And then you come down here and you treat your body with disrespect, and you like force it to do these things, or, you know, don't appreciate the summer weather and take off the clothing, take off the wrap, go out in your bathing suit with confidence and let yourself enjoy being at the beach and not thinking about all these people looking at you or whatever. Like, shoot, it's just here to enjoy. So that's what I would go back and I would say to my younger self is know your worth, love yourself, and slow the F down. Like literally just slow down. Slow down. Take your time. Everything is a royal road when you're not in a rush. So whether it's a path, like for example, this move to Portugal right now, like we don't know where we're going to live. There's a lot of uncertainty still, even though we have, you know, more answers than we did 3 months ago. There's still a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of like, we don't have a house quite yet. We're in between lives a little bit, it feels like. And there's a lot of different pathways I could go down where I could be like, oh, we don't have it figured out. I'm in my mid-30s and Miles isn't in a school and we're not doing things the typical way. I could do that, but I'm choosing not to because, again, when you're not in a rush, everything's a lovely path to walk down. There's things to notice. There's flowers blooming. There's birds chirping. The sky is somewhat blue, but not really. It's kind of cloudy and overcast today, but it's blue underneath there. And, you know, I've got my family. I've got a work that is really fun that I can take with me everywhere I go. And a beautiful community that loves watercolor just as much as I do and creativity just as much as I do. And they're super supportive and nice for the most part. And
what are you doing now? Like shading?
Yeah. And now I'm adding this dark green colored pencil that is getting dull. And adding it to the line work that I did with my pen. And so I'm just adding it to the lower half of these like bushy sections to add shadow. And it's just in this hatching style, which hatching is just lines that are in the same angle. It's a shading technique that I talk about in depth inside my course, The Art Within. If you haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, plug it.
If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. It'll teach you the 9 different shading techniques, hatching, cross-hatching, all the things, pointillism, all the things, composition, color theory, and also how to develop your style as an artist. Check it out. So anyway, I'm just doing these quick, fun, add depth, dark green strokes. This is a very like high in contrast piece. We've got the contrast with the greens, the really light lime green and the dark green, which I've been loving the lime green and the dark green together. You guys know this if you've been watching my recent videos. And then the pink is also contrasting the green. So that's nice and fun, and we love it. We love it so much.
Like whimsical, Dr. Seussy.
Yeah, I would say it's in the Dr. Seuss realm. And then this style of shading is more graphic or comic book even. I don't know. You guys probably have better words for it than me, so drop it in the comments. But it's more of a, yeah, it's just a harsher look. So Dr. Seuss, he has like really solid colors. Not much is shaded. Butterfly. Oh, blessings. Blessed by the monarchs. So he doesn't have much shadow going on in his work. It's mostly flat color. But so this is like a blend of styles, which I like. And this harsh outline, he does do outlines, I'm pretty sure, with his work, but you don't really see, I mean, all of his shapes are wonky. These trunks are a little bit more realistic. The bush shapes are a bit more Dr. Seuss. The lettering is very playful and childish, childlike, whatever. So incorporating a bunch of different styles. And maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but you're gonna have information. And that's the goal. So there you have it. I think I'm gonna leave this part of my sketchbook just like this. I'm just gonna finish up this tree. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was a fun little twist on an art video of some insights on what I would say to myself, my 20-year-old, my 25-year-old, just started my business, deep in the thick of hustle culture version of me. But also all past versions of me. I feel like it's my lifelong lesson of just learning to ease with every new twist and turn that life brings. And release control and let go. So anyway, hope that was fun for you all. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.